Welcome. Today we're going to talk about the difference between art and science and between relationship and technique in the field of sales and persuasion and influence. And as most of you know that have watched me before, I train financial advisors, and we are in the sales business. We are in the people business more so than we are in the financial business. And whatever industry you're in, if you're marketing or talking to or trying to get other people, other humans, to take action, then you're actually in the people business that just happens to sell or promote a particular product or service. And you can argue that there's two extremes in this field. One is the technique, the science, the methodology, the steps, even in the people skills business. And then on the other extreme, there is the relationship, you being a person, you being a human. In reality, they're very connected. But we're going to somewhat separate them for today just to give you a general overview. And we'll say that the science of it is more the techniques. And I don't really like that word too much. It sounds manipulative, but it's not. You know, we use techniques all the time. We listen when we really want to talk. We want to jump in and react and respond to someone that said something in the middle of a sentence or in the middle of their paragraph, but we don't because we have people skills. So we tone that down even though we're fighting our natural reaction, our natural instinct. So we're doing it all the time. So we're not trying to manipulate, or we definitely never lie or tell infactual information. But there are techniques that we learn in terms of enhanced people skills. On the other side, though, there is sometimes just this invisible relationship you have with people, your friends, your family, or sometimes just even a referral or an acquaintance or somebody else introduces you that comes with pre-built credibility. And to some degrees, those things can be at odds a little bit. And so you have to be careful when you do what. So let's kind of get into that a little bit. And this is, here it is. So we have art versus technique, or art/relationship versus technique, and the science, if we will, art versus science. So the summary, as you can read there, is don't technique your friends and don't glad hand strangers. Those are the two extremes, right? So if you're talking to a stranger, you're prospecting someone, or you barely know them, you can't act like you can't pretend you have a great relationship and talk to them the way you would talk to your best friend. From the words you use, your tone, your demeanor, right? That's just as bad. You can't do it. This is like that. That's the typical used car salesman type of idiom, right? On the flip side, if you already have a relationship with a very good relationship, like you can see there, we call it the warm market. So that's your friends, your family, people you know pretty well. They know you pretty well. You can't all of a sudden start using persuasion or sales techniques. That doesn't mean you don't use some, right? That's why if you see there, the breakdown is 90% relationship, rely on the relationship that you already have. But there's still 10% technique. So maybe as you're learning your sales skills and influence skills, you learn to listen better. You learn to let people finish sentences. And then you pause a beat when they're done before you respond. When you do respond, you don't come in and attack if you disagree. You do it gently. You use feel, felt, found, or whatever other techniques. So you still use some. You still apply some of the, again, enhanced people skills is the best way I can describe it without using that nasty word of technique. You do some. You can't just rely always 100% on the relationship. And then as you move down, as you move away from your center influence, and you're moving to, again, you see your social market, people that they probably know your first name, or maybe they recall it, someone you see him at the bowling league, you see him at the gym, you've nodded heads before. And again, maybe you know their name, maybe you don't. Maybe you have chatted with them a couple of times, but you barely know if they're married or not. Maybe you do, but you don't know much about them, but they're not strangers, right? And so within the right context, you still talk more informally than you would with a complete stranger you just met 30 seconds ago. So you're still relying, though, to a large degree on the relationship, right? You're still trying to leverage the fact that he knows me. He or she hopefully trusts me to it. There's some little bit implicit trust built in, right? Because one of the biggest builders of trust is consistency, is people see you over and over and over again. They don't even know anything about you, but it's like this consistency, right? Again, bowling league, the gym, the cigar lounge, maybe you go cycling and they're part of the cycling club, or or you go to a bar, or whatever it is. They see you over and over again. So a little bit less relationship than before, but you're using a little bit more technique. And then as you move further down, referral market. This is people that you actually don't know at all, but they're referred to you, they're introduced to you, or you're introduced to them. So there's an indirect trust to a degree, right? Someone else is vouching for you. And so there's some kind of relationship there. It's an indirect relationship. They still don't know you, but they trust you more than you would trust a complete stranger. Okay, so now you're going to use much less. You are leveraging the relationship to some degree, which means the referral, the introduction, but you're also using much more technique, right? The things that you're saying, the way that you're saying them, you're much more on point. You're much more observant of yourself during the interaction about having the proper friendly skills and social skills and people skills. And finally, we move to the cold market. And it's 10%, 90%, so most of it's technique. This is where you want to learn introductory phrases, opening sentences. Again, you're on your absolute best behavior in terms of people skills and social skills and friendly skills and influence and persuasion. You're really shot top notch. Now, it's not zero because there's still even in a complete stranger, they start judging us, or you judge me, I judge you, we all judge everybody else within almost seconds, but definitely within minutes of first meeting. So there still is somewhat of this like intangible type of relationship, but most of your success with someone further down, that's basically the essence here, further down on this list, or if you want to think of it as a circle, right? You're going further away from your warm market, your hot market, your warm market. The more it's about, again, the techniques that you're going to learn, whether it's How to Win Friends and Influence People, the best single fundamental book you could ever read if you're any kind of sales business, that's foundational number one. But then you move on to more persuasion, influence skills. That's where that comes into play. So one of the things I want to teach is because, training advisors for over 35 years, I see both extremes. Advisors come in and they say, the most common one is that I don't want to learn sales techniques or persuasion. I'm a good guy. I'm a happy-go-lucky. People like me, and that might be fine. But when you're in the cold market, here's the problem. Okay. Not everyone likes every kind of personality. Even if you have what it's generally accepted as a happy-go-lucky, you're never negative, you're always positive, make people feel good. Some people get turned off by that. It's like fake. They think it may not be fake, but they think it's like, man, it's overly positive, never says anything negative, never cusses, never has a little bit off-color joke. There's people, right? You can't please everyone. I'm not saying one's right or wrong. I'm saying you can't please everyone. And then also, but the truth is most of us aren't that. Let's be honest. Most of us are not. Most of us know someone like that. Maybe you watching, you are that person, but most people watching, including myself, are not that one person. Most of us know one or two people in our circle of friends that is that. But most of us are not. We're normal by definition. Most of us are average. So understanding that, and here's the tricky part about that. When you say, well, look, all my friends and family like me, especially when you say friends. Well, of course, because they wouldn't stay friends if they didn't like you. So you're making an assumption from a pre-selected pool that already agrees with you. But if you're in sales of any kind, influence, I know some of you don't think you're marketing, say whatever. You're in sales, okay? You're trying to get someone else to do something that's good for them. If you're in sales, you have to be able to work with and interact with people that maybe don't like you or don't love you. That's why trust is more important. Like I have clients that I don't really necessarily love them. I wouldn't really talk with them after, outside of business. I'm sure they feel the same way about me. Probably some of my reps feel the way. But so unless you hate someone, you still got to work with them, right? So that's where the technique comes in. You understand saying thank you and please and looking at someone when you're speaking. Those are techniques. Those are techniques. They're just ones that most of us have down because we're taught over and over and we get punished when we don't do it inside. Further than that. You just don't want to go so far where you're manipulating. So that's the way I always thought of sales skills, right? So as you get further away from your warm market, you do want to use technique. You can't rely just on relationship. That's why what I've also found, listen to this, those of you that are introverts, or you could be an extrovert, but maybe you just never found that you're really good with people skills. I mean, you get along. You're not a hermit that can't, you can't look at people. I'm saying, but you're not naturally, and that's the way I was. And what is good is people skills or techniques, whatever, is learnable. And the people that have it kind of naturally, they rely on that. They never bother reading How to Win Friends. I don't need that. Everyone likes me. I'm not going to read Tom Hopkins or Master Tom Hopkins or whatever your sales trainer of choice is. Because what they do is they stop at a certain level. They're limited because they never learn. But the ones that suck, like me, I sucked at this. That was the hardest part in this business for me, was the people skills, not the financial part. That's easy. It's the people skills, right? Getting people to take action, getting people to like and trust me. But it's learnable. That's the greatest lesson that Tom Hopkins ever taught me, was just the concept that people skills, and also Dale Carnegie with How to Win Friends and Influence People, is it's a learnable skill like it is, woodworking. So those of you, including me, that maybe aren't naturally good at it, and you start learning it, you'll pass up the people that are naturally good at it and don't want to learn more. I don't need to work on that, right? And because especially you get more in the cold market, that becomes more difficult. Because now you're not, in your warm market, you're already by definition working with people that like and to a degree trust you. That's the group. You don't need technique, barely, right? And it's easy going. But as you move away from that, now by the way, now you're talking with people with different political beliefs, with different religious beliefs, with different, this is how our government should be run or our local area should be run beliefs, and different beliefs about whatever your product and service is. And you have to still try to interact with them. So as you move away, you can rely less and less on your wonderful, incredible, amazing personality and more on people skills and technique. So it's obviously a degree, but you want to learn both, okay? Just be careful. I think it's kind of obvious that if you are talking to your dad and your adult son and daughter, don't be techniquing them, okay? Doesn't mean you can't employ some of the things that you learn, because they're going to notice and go, what are you doing, dude? Right? Like when I got in the investment business, 30 years ago, 35 years ago, and I wanted to get an appointment with my dad, I just said, Dad, I'm becoming a financial advisor. Or I think I phrased it like, investment rep or something, doesn't matter. The concept's the same. And I want to do an appointment with you and just talk to you about, what I'm doing, and you can give me your feedback and go from there. I mean, there's no script. It was just the relationship got me in. Okay, and that was the same with friends and family. When I first got into business, I did a group meeting. In my first group meeting, I had 19 people there, and I was a college student. And I had maybe 2 weeks to prepare, maybe less than 2 weeks. I got 19 people at this group seminar for financial, right? I was barely licensed because I just used my technique. Hey, buddy, you got to show up. I don't care, just got to show up. Now, I was talking to college students and a few that were out of college, but they were that age bracket. I just leveraged my relationship to do it. But I can't do that now. I can't walk up to a stranger and say, hey, I'm a good guy, come to a meeting, or give me 15 minutes where I can tell you what I'm doing. I have to use people skills techniques, right? So don't mix them up, okay? So as it says in the title, to recap, don't technique your friends, but also, even if you already have a good, outgoing, gregarious personality, don't overdo that with strangers, because they might not even say it, but it comes off weird. Oh, you guys be too pushy. That just means you're too forward. So there you go. Both are needed, the art and the science of it, but you have to be clever enough and have the wisdom to know when to use which one.